Hello, and welcome to another guided session. In this session, we are going to heal our relationship with our family, with the members of our family whom we have alienated or fallen apart or have disagreements with. It may be something that has been in the works for many years, or it might be a situation in which you find yourself unable to cope. It may be a situation where you are pressured or feel cornered. And in these situations, one is sometimes without direction, confused or have abandoned hope, not knowing what is the best course of action. Or you may be at times pressed to find the right answers to say to those whom you have relationship with. And that bond that has been established is sometimes the most challenging one. It is for this reason we look inwards to find the resources and the knowledge and be guided by our hearts and our minds, because we care, because we at times are pressed to act not as someone doesn't care, but as someone whom a role is expected of. So that role may be the role of a parent or a daughter or a son. It may be something that you have with regards to those whom you have shared a bond. And it is for this reason I say the best way to deal with circumstances as such is to find the resources we need to best decide on when to act and when to be still, when to speak and when to be silent. And for that, now I invite you to take a seated position or a reclining position in which you will be comfortable enough to sit through at least 30 minutes of meditation. Some people prefer to be seated with their legs folded. Other people may choose to find a reclining position. Whichever position you choose is the one that is most comfortable for you. And ensure that you will not be disturbed at this time by turning off your cell phone and silencing anything that may cause distraction, and letting anyone who may disturb you know that you need this time for yourself. And now, once you're ready and taking the position, remember to turn your attention to your breath. Breath is where it all begins, because we can control our breath, our breathing, to a point where we can slow our heart rate down by simply focusing on our breath when we breathe in deep and slow and hold it for a brief moment before exhaling gently and softly. And as you begin to do this at your own pace, you will notice that the relaxation sensation may start somewhere within the attention you give to your breath. Ensure that when you take your breath, you fill your lungs fully and hold it for a brief moment before you begin to exhale. As you exhale, notice that your breath outwards is a little longer than your breath inwards. And ensure that when you're taking your deep breath in, you let your belly extend out, because that's where your diaphragm is able to allow more air to come into your lungs. As you do take your breath in, realize that your tension that you may have held throughout the day can begin to dissipate. May begin with the tension you have on your cheeks and your lips and your forehead. You may notice that once you close your eyes, and if you haven't done so, please do so now, that your attention to your eyelids and your eyes will begin to also help you to soothe all the tension. And you may find that the tension you have held is even behind your ears and part of your scalp and your neck and shoulders, which they can too relax gently and softly. And as they do so, realize that your back also can relax, allowing you to feel comfortable. As you begin this comforting journey, realize that your arms and legs, which had held tension and supported your body through the day, can also let loose and become soft and malleable, just like a Play-Doh that molds and takes shape, allowing you to sink deeper and deeper and deeper down in the position that you are in, and making connection with your gravity, and noticing that the weight that you bear on the very points of contact with the place that you're seated or reclining is also being supported at the exact amount that you need to be safely and securely hold that position. And as you do so, realize that the tension that you have held is the tension you've been carrying, and letting the tension go allows your body to relax. And as you relax your body, your heart rate begins to slow and become more manageable, as if you're in deep sleep. But sleep this is not, because you hear everything that I say with your eyes closed, with your breath ever so calm and then gentle, that you become more attuned to the words that you hear. In fact, so attuned that the words that I speak become the words that you hear, and the words that you hear become the one that you feel connects with you. As it connects with you, realize that this is just a journey into the self, a journey that allows you to make a better connection with everything else around you. Notice that you have your focus of attention, which is your breath, and your breath is the beginning where it all began. And now that your muscles are relaxed, your breath also becomes more tranquil, more silent, and more calm. And this is at which point we are able to bring our attention inwards and open the doors of our unconscious processes, the unconscious processes that control everything within our body, where all the knowledge and experiences are stored. The one that knows what temperature your body needs to be at, and how fast your heart rate needs to be, and when to release the certain hormones that your body needs to cope with everything else around you, and to come up with the right words and the right sentences when you speak. These are all within your unconscious mind. And nothing happens to your unconsciousness that cannot be avoided, because your unconscious processes are the very resources that you rely upon to come up with solutions in your life. And it is from this that I invite you to open the large, big gates and step inside your unconsciousness And as you descend down those stairs into this great hallway, notice that the information that is all around you, stored in maybe books and files and all kinds of literature work, that has recorded everything that has ever happened to you, everything you heard and sensed and felt in this great big library of knowledge, has all the answers you need to deal with everything that you face. And if you are acting in a way that you have not been happy with, it is because you have only been processing things through your consciousness, and all the answers that you're seeking are in your unconsciousness. Because in the unconscious processes, you know what to say without having to go and look for the reaction. Because reaction happens when you are not thinking, but you're reacting. That is the problem. When we deal with family members, because we are enraged, sometimes become saddened or become disconnected because we're looking to the windows of our consciousness, and our consciousness leads us astray. We forget to see the window that they are looking from. They forget that the connection they have with us is a connection they form within their own minds and is in no relationship to anyone else's but their own. And although they may be wrong or they may have their own valid points, to them it is all okay, because that is the reality they have chosen for their own world. And when you are able to recognize that they're all speaking from their own world, you realize that you have a connection through them, but they are like stars and planets that spin around and round, yet never touch one another. That is because they all have their own little worlds, and that is from which they operate. And you yourself have to realize that the world they live in is their own little happiness. This is their own world. And that if they are to be there, you cannot bring them out, for they have constructed their reality based on those beliefs and assumptions and thoughts. Your job, your responsibility is to understand how they have reacted and acted the way they did. And your job is to realize that they are speaking and seeing the world from their own little window. And you can maneuver yourself so that anything that is coming that is negative from their side is thrown into the deep space, darkness and abyss, and dissipate without harming you. And that way you are able to see and react in a way that is positive. And the reaction is not from a sudden impulsive movement, but a well-calculated action. An action that comes from knowing that you have weighed the situation, have understood how they are going to operate, so that you are able to protect yourself emotionally, physically, and mentally, through which you can say to yourself, I have done the very best, and I have received results that are more in line with a harmonious relationship. Sometimes those harmonious relationships are not so easy to tame. That's because their world is so different than yours. Yet connecting those two worlds may require you to find a bridge, a common point, where you can meet at some point and say to each other, I see where you're looking from, And on this, we can agree. It could be as simple as the kind of dishes that you like and you share. It could be a common hobby, or it could be a common point of view. Whatever that thing is, or that may be, it is you who must look and find it. Because in order to anyone to change is something that can only happen through a new perspective. And they are not going to change their perspective based on the current setup. Because you have your own world, they have their own. And the two worlds will never meet or be in unison. So in that respect, it is you who must find the satellite, the moon, which revolves around them, and say, look at that moon and notice how we are looking at the same beautiful moon, seeing the same vision, and that which we can connect will form the basis of a connection that can exist between you and me. And once you can establish that, things will flow much smoother. Because having a connection with someone on some point gives you the ability to see things from their own perspective and invites the other person to look at things from your perspective, so that you two may find a common ground on which to walk towards closer union, closer, more agreeable relationship. It could be someone that you are as close as your mother or father. In that respect, you can say to yourself, what have I done to deserve this? Yet the answer that you give to yourself will be only from your window of observation, through your own experiences, and the justifications that the other person has is within their own world the right one. And they allow that such things to occur because they feel that this is their own justification. And now you have to change things so the paradigms may shift to bring you in more tuned, more focused idea, so that you can look and say, I see things in a more clear way. When you dissipate the fog and all the lies and remove all the emotions and allow yourself to be observed from outside, imagine yourself as a third person watching your reaction and your action in your speech with that person from your other, and you watch yourself with that family member. You realize that there is a drama going on, there is a certain thing going on, even if it's one that is silent or one that has a lot of noise or there is a lot of disagreement. This is the drama. And if you can see it as a theater being played out, you can coach yourself through the visions of a third person and say, you know, you are reacting with emotion. You are reacting and this is not serving you well. Yet now take a step back and look at it from this perspective. Notice what the other person is doing. Notice that other family member reacting and acting and speaking. Now alter your behavior so that you are not in direct conflict with this other person, so that you may clear the air and the fog and see things in a point clear way, like a sunny day on a sunny summer day, looking out to the sea and seeing the horizon as far as I can see, knowing that anything in the path will be something that is clear to you. It is the reality that you are ready to face, instead of being boxed in and be compelled to act and react the same way that you have done. Because unless you change the way you react and act and the words that you say, you can never change the relationship you have with the other person. So the change begins with you, knowing that the change will have to be a fundamental one. The fundamental change begins with the first step, recognizing their actions, their reactions, their patterns, because everyone moves in patterns, everyone reacts in a certain way, and it is you who must recognize these patterns, these behaviors, and find a viable solution to deal with everything that happens, watching the drama, theater that happens in your reactions and actions with the other family member. And you yourself can find ways to reach out to them so that you may find a common ground. It could be someone that you have shared things in the past, as simple as the pleasure of shopping for something or looking for something, or entering their world and recognizing the things that they are doing as something that brings them pleasure. And this way you are far more resourceful than someone who reacts to the whims of the other person. It is for this reason I invite you to turn your attention inwards in calm manner, observe, internalize, and ask your unconscious processes to help you to find the right wording, the right actions, so that you say the right words at the right moment, in the right style, so that results are ones that you can say, this has worked. This has restored balance in our relationship. Because if you realize and look at things, you find that you have an unbalanced relationship. An unbalanced relationship is a root of all relationship failures to connect. So when you have taken your attention and taken it full circle and see what you have done wrong in the past and see how the other person is doing wrong, then you have an opportunity to better both them and you. But you must take responsibility, because you are responsible, because it is your reactions and actions that is causing the other person to continue acting the way they do. And if you don't believe so, ask yourself, if someone else was in my position who knows how to deal with this person, they might achieve a totally different result, even though they have a different relationship. So if you can imagine yourself saying the very things that are forthright, that are clear and concise, that allows you to build a powerful connection with the other person, then you have done your best. And there are times when connections cannot be established, even though you may try, because you both may not be ready to establish that relationship. And at that stage, you realize that there are challenges that requires both persons to come full circle to realize they need to change to maintain the relationship. And until that time that it happens, they must work within their own realm, and so must you. Yet there is so much that can be done, and before you move to that stage, I invite you to observe yourself and find answers to their behaviors, to their words that you haven't used before, and make a connection in a different way. Because once you change your actions and reactions and your wording, things will change because you are trying something new. And if you have not changed and acting the same way, you're only repeating yourself. And if you're repeating yourself and expecting different results, that is insanity. This is why you only do things that you have thought thoroughly and clearly before engaging in a relationship that is fruitful. It is now that I bring you this attention, that you may ponder on it throughout your day and while you sleep, and ask your unconscious to find you all the answers that you need, so that you are more resourceful and ready to deal with the circumstances that you may face with this other family member. And now, imagine a scenario in your head where a conflict may have occurred in the past, and observe yourself and say, I would have said this. Coach yourself through a third person in yourself and look at it and give advice. Give the advice that you would give so that this person, who's you, can say the right words and act the right way, so that the outcome is different. Because if you were happy with the outcome, you wouldn't have dealt in this manner. So now, by providing a new outlet, clear of emotions, but with serenity and calmness, as you get coached, answer the questions. How would I react? What would I say? How would my actions dictate the way this relationship is? And the answer you will come to would be the answers that will let you know that you have come a full circle. Now, I'd like you to meditate on this, taking a deep breath in, holding it, and releasing ever so slowly to go twice as deep and 3 times as fast, in which your unconscious doors are wide open and the information flows easily without hindrance, where your consciousness is just beneath the sea of unconsciousness, where you are able to sail your ships across to the destination of harmony and splendor. That way you would have come full circle. And with that, I thank you for joining me and invite you to join us in our next session. Thank you for listening.